First of all, I'll just start off by saying I thought that this OTA that we had today was a good one. I thought there was a lot of energy. We've been talking a lot about finishing and pursuit on defense, finishing on offense, and I thought you saw that today. So that's a credit to the players. We had a good sunny day, and I thought we got a lot accomplished today. So it was good to see you guys out there. And now we'll get ready for tomorrow and prepare for next week as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and open to any questions.
We'll get things started with Brad Biggs.
Hey, Matt. Couldn't help but notice a bunch of defensive guys Matt spotted, at least while we were out there today. Did that catch you off guard at all? And have you met face-to-face with Eddie Goldman since the start of the offseason program? And if I could ask one final question, was that Daz Newsome who looked like he was in a sling, or someone was in a sling? I don't know if it was Daz or not.
Yeah. So three parts to that. So your first part, Brad, obviously I think everybody on this call, and including myself, is aware that this is voluntary. This is a voluntary camp. So with that said, I'm really appreciative of, all the guys that are here and that are out here doing their thing. But at the same time, we all do need to keep in mind that it is voluntary. The question in regards to Daz, that was Daz. Unfortunately, yesterday in practice, he had a ball that he went up to get, and he just landed hard on his shoulder. And so he ended up injuring his shoulder. So he'll be out for a little while. It's unfortunate, but the kid's tough as heck. Bounced right back up, and until we went in and looked at it, we saw that it wasn't too good. So, but he's been in good spirits. He was here this morning, and we'll put together a game plan moving forward. But that was Daz. And then what was your third one, Brad? You squeezed three in on me. Oh, Eddie Goldman. Yeah. So was fortunate enough to talk to Eddie. I saw Eddie. It was awesome to see him. He was here in the facility. Looks really good, and he's the same old Eddie. So it was neat to see. It definitely put a smile on my face.
Jeff Dickerson.
Hey, Matt, great to see you today.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing, man?
Wonderful. Hey, since the end of rookie minicamp, how have you seen Justin Fields go about the business of trying to acclimate himself to the team, to the offense, and to being an NFL quarterback?
Yeah, Jeff, he's done a really good job at just trying to digest everything that we're teaching this offense in particular right now. The one thing that you learn when you get with Justin is you really realize that, he does everything really well in a group setting. He listens, he observes Andy, Nick, Coach Flip, Bill Lazor, myself when we're in there. But also too, I think you talk to these coaches and then myself as well included, when you're able to have one-on-one individual conversations with him. And sometimes those settings are a little easier and you can be a little bit more specific with him. You really see him open up. So it'll be cool to see him once he really starts understanding what we do here in this offense, to see him continue to just grow and open up and ask good questions, which he's done. And everything that we thought he was going to be when he got here, with just learning and being obsessed with doing everything that we teach him, and then being able to just kind of be himself out there in the field. He's really doing things in a really good way. And then I also want to credit Andy and Nick in those meeting rooms. It's really neat to see the way that they treat him, the way they help him, and vice versa. So I wish you all could be in there to see it. It's just the start right now, but I think for all of us that they're certainly all growing. Same with Andy, is his first time going through this offense.
Dean Weeder.
Matt, in regards to Andy, in terms of the stuff that he can get done on the field in the month of June, what do you hope that he can accomplish here in this stretch that gives him a little bit more comfort when you guys finally return for training camp?
Yeah, so for Andy, I would say the biggest thing is being able to learn who his teammates are and understand they're all a little bit different, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Learn who his coaches are with us. He obviously has a great relationship with Bill Lazor. And for us to be able to see, okay, what does Andy do well? We're starting to see that already now that we're out on the grass. You can see this kid, when I say kid, Andy, he is doing a great job of making anticipatory throws. throwing the ball early. If there's one thing that these wide receivers are going to come out of this OTAs from, and obviously from training camp too, they're going to see that when that ball is supposed to be there, that ball is going to be there. So they better get ready to put their hands up to catch it. You better be at the right spot, the right depth, and be doing your route adjustments accordingly. And I think it really is impressive with how much he's digested this playbook already, and now he's doing it with these players. So every rep we get for those guys is just valuable.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Matt, you mentioned Nick in meetings.
So Brad's question about the defensive guys here. Oh,
Go
Matt,
ahead, Pat.
Matt, you mentioned Nick in meetings. We didn't see him out there on the grass. I'm curious if you could offer any clarity on that, especially, you guys talked all last year about how, he may have gotten off to a slow start because there was no off-season program, and now he had a voluntary one, and we didn't see him there.
Yeah, no, with Nick's been here every day. He's been here the whole time. He has a personal deal that he's working with right now. So his is, it's all voluntary, but just so everyone is aware, he's been here every day. He's just dealing with some personal things right now, and he wasn't here.
What is your vision for him this season?
Yeah, well, for all of us to understand that for each one of those guys to be the best that they can be. And I think I've talked to all three of them. And as we go into these practices, as we go into training camps, knowing how valuable it is for Justin to get his reps, and then Andy, obviously, to get his reps too. Nick and I have talked, and he understands that going into this, that Justin's going to get the 2 reps and that Nick's going to get the 3 reps. And Nick is a true pro and understands it, is still very competitive. And that's why I say, like, in all these meetings, it's just really special to see how they're trying to help Justin out and teach him how to play quarterback and how to watch film and study this offense, but also Justin helping them too with what he sees. So it's been really good.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Matt, when you're missing that many defensive players, again, and we talked about it a little bit ago, how did that maybe adjust Sean's plans a little bit in terms of what he's looking for, in terms of enhancing different competitions, maybe specifically a defensive back with Vildor and Shelley? And then the second part of that, again, with all those guys missing, how much do you guys lean on Roquan Smith to be that leader, to be vocal, to be a lot of things with all those guys gone?
Yeah, I would just say, I'll start off with Roquan. The way that he has grown into the player and person, to me, is just, it's super special. They don't make many players like Roquan Smith. I'll just tell you that right now. They just don't. And we are so lucky to have him as one of the main leaders of this defense. And for him to come in here and just kind of every day just do his thing and just run around and fly around and help teach these younger guys, that's really, really neat. And so we appreciate that, and he knows that. And for Sean, for Coach Desai, for him, we can only control what we can control with who's here because it being voluntary. So the guys that are here, what an awesome opportunity for them to be able to come in here and get great, valuable reps. Last year, as you all know, we're sitting in just like we're doing right now, and we're teaching football over Zoom. And I love Zoom, but I'm done with Zoom. So for everybody to be out here and just getting individual drills and working on the grass and building relationships, like being able to be face-to-face, take these masks off eventually and talk to each other and build relationships. That's what we're doing right now. For a first-year coordinator like Sean that's known a lot of these guys, he doesn't know them or they don't know him as the defensive coordinator. So we have a plan of how we make sure that with the numbers that we have, that we're not beating them down, that we take good care of them, that we're smart with their health, but yet they're also learning. And Sean and this defensive coaching staff have hit the ground running. I love the way they act with each other, with the players. And I just think you see it and feel it even with the young guys that we have out there. But what a great opportunity for those that are here.
Mark Potash.
Hey, Matt, these are voluntary practices, but frankly, they've been voluntary for years, and you've had 99.9% attendance. So just curious how problematic that is for you to not have your virtually entire defense, because I know you don't want to antagonize your starters, but on the other hand, I imagine there's disappointment that they're not getting the practice that they need with a new coordinator. And also, what's the impact in general? If they're going to miss these next 2 weeks, what's the impact on your defense to not have virtually your starting defense at these OTAs?
I would say a few things. They have been voluntary, like you said, every year. And I think we could probably all agree that this year, for a lot of different reasons, is a little different, not just with Chicago Bears, but with a lot of teams across the league. I think there's a lot of different levels of where teams are at right now for different reasons. That said, I also want to make it loud and clear that, the on the field stuff that you're seeing is one part of it. And then in the classroom is the other part. And we have, all of those guys that you're not seeing here physically, they're all here in meetings, and they're meeting and they're a part of everything. And they have phenomenal attitudes. It's those relationships that are being built over Zoom right now are still going strong. And I appreciate that from those guys, because again, even that part is voluntary, but those guys, they're a part of all these meetings, and they're getting everything that Sean and these coaches are teaching. They just are not out here for the physical part.
Thank you.
Yep.
Stacey Dales.
Hey, Coach Nagy, great to see you.
Good to see
My
you.
question, what are your thoughts on starting a rookie tackle in the National Football League, specifically with Tevin? What do you need to see from this offensive line? Because it does look different. And then I'm just curious about the different leadership that you've seen from both already with Andy and Justin, and how they're juxtaposing each other, because they're obviously different players.
Yeah, they are. So the offensive line does look a little different in certain areas. One of the things that we're trying to do right now is just create as much competition as we can, really at every position. I think y'all see it, and you saw it too with some of the draft picks this year that we had. But having that competition is just going to help make us better. And when you bring a guy in like Elijah Wilkinson, and obviously bringing back a Fetty, and you have the rookies that we brought in, and you have Alex Bars, and so I mean the list goes on and on. What Juan is doing right now is making sure that all these guys understand we're doing it for one cause, and that's to be the best O-line, right? Not the best O-line men, but the best group together as one. And just to give you a little story, I have to share this with you. I think I haven't seen this a whole lot, but a few days ago I was in my office and I was looking out before practice, before the walkthrough, and I looked out onto the practice field, and as guys are walking across from one field to the next, about a half a mile or whatever, a half a mile away, I see about 16 linemen standing out right outside of my window, and they're not moving. I'm like, what are these guys doing? And they're not moving. They're not going anywhere. And all of a sudden I see a guy trickle out from the door to come with them and walk over to the walkthrough. It's the first time I've ever seen that. You got 17, 18 O linemen that are doing this as one. They're not leaving their guy behind. They all go over and they do everything together. And so when they're in the weight room lifting together, when they're walking over to practice, when it's post-practice, I've never seen that ever. And that to me is special. I think it starts with what Juan and Donnie are doing. And so I go back to like those rookies you asked about and how they're learning. It's going to take a little bit of time. And what's hard with O linemen is we have no pads right now, so there's so many rules that you can't do this, can't do that, that once we get to training camp is going to be the true test to see really where they're at. But they've been doing great, the young guys, Tevin and Larry. And so that's that part. As far as the quarterbacks, Andy and Justin and Nick, again, I've lived it. I've been a part of it in the meetings and the practice field with how it goes, the dynamics, and it's very natural. Those guys have each other's backs, and so now I think what we're seeing is you see a guy right now in practice with Andy that he's been doing this for 9 or 10 years. And so when he calls a play and he sees a short motion coming in and the guy's going to quick tick and then hit it on a shallow cross, he times it up just right. Well, Justin's never done that before. This is the first time he's doing that. And so when he brings a guy in short motion and quick ticks it and hits it on the run, the timing might be a little bit off. And so like Justin just needs more reps to get well, Andy's done that for 9 years. So Andy's seen rotation. He's seen post-snap stuff. And I think that like football-wise, they're growing at really good paces right now, but they're also helping each other out, which is going to make us better. And now we're just trying to teach this offense to all the rest of the guys as well.
Thank
All right,
you.
we got time for 2 more quick ones. We'll go Jason Leisure and we'll close out with Joe Lewis. Jason?
Hey, Matt, 2 quick questions for you. One, just to clarify, did Foles practice yesterday?
No, Foles has been out for, I think, if I go back and think right, he missed 1 day of last week is what I think he missed with the and there might be a couple more days here where I'm not expecting him back tomorrow. It might be next week when he shows back up just with that. So
you said something interesting about Dalton, about his throws. The guys know it will be there. And I wonder what that reliability does for you when it comes to sketching out this offense and then calling plays when you know that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, no, it's real. I think, so it goes back to the comment of when a quarterback plays this game and he already knows what the defense is doing, he can play faster than others. And Andy has a ton of experience in this game. And I hope we all understand what that means. And for a vet versus a young guy. And so what he can do is you get a guy like that with Andy that can help Justin too and explain to him why he was early, meaning Andy, on a throw. Like for instance, all go special, 4 verts, right? And you got to cover 3 safety, 1 high safety over the top, and you got a nickel defender playing the flat. And you know that, and you see it and you understand it. You already know you're going to look the safety off and throw it to the seam up the middle or up the numbers. He knows that. Well, you know, he's throwing that early. And if those guys don't get to that spot and cover 3 and they're not looking for the football, they're going to get hit in the head. And so he's throwing them open. Whereas some other guys might not have that right away until they get more reps. And I think just experience, starter experience that Andy has is a big part of this and what he's doing. And then you see it out here on the field. So for us, it's teaching. We have a lot of young wide receivers. And so they're seeing that if you don't get your tail to that spot, he's going to throw the football. And if you're not there and it's an incompletion and it's your fault, then we got to figure out, you know, are we going to keep letting that happen or are we going to get somebody else? And that's what I think is neat to see. And Andy, he's got red hair too. So he's got that fire, you know, he's like, so he'll get pissed now and tell you if you do something wrong, he's going to tell you. I kind of like that.
All right, one last one from Joe Lewis.
Yeah, Matt, in regards to Justin needing more reps, and in addition to what you just spoke about, Andy, how has Justin's mentality been? Let's say he has missed a pass or he has upselled one. How has his response been, at least in your perspective, when that's happened?
It's been good. Now, it hasn't happened a lot because we're only a few days in with going against the defense. So a lot of this has been on air. So being able to see it now, he's extremely, extremely calm, which I love. So when something bad happens and the next play, it doesn't matter to him because he's so calm and he has confidence in himself. When something good happens, he reacts the same. And that part that's a good trait to have because you can never get too high and you can never get too low. That's why he's had the success he's had. You talk about the games that he played last year, the struggles that they had against Northwestern and Indiana. And, but yet he also comes back in a lot of those plays and steps up and makes plays, or the next game has a great game. And so it's in his DNA. He's wired the right way. And that's what I love about him. And all Justin wants to do right now is football. That's all he cares about. He just wants to be the best quarterback he can possibly be. He wants us to be able to teach him everything we can teach him. He wants to be able to learn from Andy. Coach Flip and Coach Laser are doing a phenomenal job right now, man. You want to talk about obsessed and passionate about helping these quarterbacks out. So it's neat to see. You feel it, and we just got to keep that going. And again, work to that plan that we talked about with all those quarterbacks, and then just let these guys grow at their own pace, and then let us be able to evaluate them.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Okay. All right. Take care, guys.